Sony, like all other game companies, is a powerhouse that wants you to remember its hits. You have games like The Last of Us, Spider-Man 2, and Metal Gear Solid The Phantom Pain. I've listed games that I distinctly remember playing and really stuck with me when I did. Games that are still talked about to this day. I think that there will always be something to carry with you from certain games, if not all. Just like any other sort of media that you can consume, like television and books, they'll stick with you. But what really got me into PlayStation games and gaming at all was a few certain games that now just sit entirely dead. These titles definitely do deserve better, but they aren't worth saving from Sony. I think that certain companies have coined that bigger can mean better, and this has become a literal dent within game development at times. Hey, let's throw the game in the engine already and deal with graphics, then we'll deal with the story. Today, I want to dig into Sony's backyard and discuss my favorite dead IPs that they're currently sitting on. Ones that don't seem like they have a future unless Sony gives the clear to release them from their medically induced coma. I honestly didn't have any other ideas for this assignment, and for a few weeks I'd think of something, right, and never open up the Google Doc like ever. Ellie suggested that I do something on Valorant or Dead by Daylight, but I think using my brain power on something about those games outside of it would literally cause me to explode.
I would have said
I get tapped out!
he's gonna have some good traits.
Oh my
What
god!
if you missed it?
Oh my god!
But for now, let's walk through the dusty old hospital that Sony wants you to forget about.
You gotta do what? I gotta believe.
I was first introduced to Parappa way back in middle school. I had my friends over for a day, hopped on the PlayStation Store, and I think the remastered version of the game was like 4 cents in a wet napkin. Parappa the Rapper has been credited as the first rhythm game and the first mainstream one at that. It was released on December 6 of 1996 for the PlayStation 1, alongside one of Sony's branches, Studio Japan. It was a fun, upbeat rhythm game that had an amazing and, in my opinion, very cute art and character designs. Like, dude, look at PJ Barry. In the actual game, you get to play as Parappa, going through a journey to prove himself to his crush Sunny Funny. He's going through the motions of becoming an adult, getting his license, then getting a job because he messed up his dad's car. He even went ahead and baked a cake for Sunny for her birthday party. He gets a chance to hang out with her, but unfortunately gets the runs and has to dip. The next day soon comes, Parappa gets an invite to perform at a club that PJ Perry is at, invites Sunny, and soon proves his love for her. After the performance finishes, Parappa and Sunny start to date, marking the official end of the game. I think for the 1990s, Parappa kinda encases everything that era really was. There's 6 music stages in which you must complete to progress to the next one. I think this was my second ever rhythm game I played, so it took 12-year-old me a little while to get it down. If you somehow live under a rock and don't know how a rhythm game works, you must follow and repeat a certain sequence of buttons according to the sound, or as the genre gives it away, rhythm. Get the correct button and the timing down and you're all set. It was acclaimed by critics who loved its gameplay, music, and story. It even got a spin-off title that was released only 3 years later known as Jammer Lammy, and then a direct sequel, Parappa the Rapper 2 in 2001. The game went on to influence many other rhythm games we all know and love, such as Dance Dance Revolution, Beat Mania, and more. The game has sold roughly more than 3 million copies, which was considerably quite successful for its time. It even got an anime, and I feel like the opening is very cute. I don't know, I'm just stuck on the characters and its designs. I feel like they're wonderful. I think its merch also had a strong point, mostly for me due to just how cool most of them look. You had things like guitars, guitar picks, figurines, plushies, and then a toaster. Yeah, a toaster. Other than its 2 main titles, a spin-off, port, and remaster, Parappa hasn't really gotten any traction since. It's had a few spiritual successors, but I've never heard anybody talk about them. I hadn't even heard of them until I was doing research for this video at all. Parappa the Rapper 2 apparently didn't garner the same traction as the first game, failing to gather similar numbers as the original one had. I think this, along with the fact that Parappa was set in stone as such a niche genre of games, caused Sony to place the game on an old forgotten shelf. It was experimental, something in which Sony doesn't really care for anymore. For example, Studio Japan, who also took hand in creating the game, was just shut down pretty recently, as they claimed the decline of a AA market is what hit them. There's honestly nothing in sight that could even mark a modern revival for Parappa, and it's not like rhythm games don't sell. Here, take a look at your average Project Diva game. They have 6 main titles. 6. And I can't stand any of them. Jesus Christ. For certain games, Sony just kind of forgets the legacy of their IPs, and Parappa is sadly one of them. Now, for this game, I don't expect a lot of people to know about it really. A part of me attributes this due to the fact that the game was released on the PS Vita. Games that launched on the PS Vita were sent to die. The PS Vita is a love child that Sony tries to ignore and will lie straight to your face when you bring it up. They were developing the PlayStation 4 at this time, so you already know who they gave more attention to. Gravity Rush, also known as Gravity Days, was released on February 9th of 2012. By August of that same year, they had sold over 200,000 copies of the game. It was developed by Project Siren, Bluepoint Games, and Studio Japan. To be quite honest with you, I didn't play the first one at all, but right now Metacritic has it sitting at an 80 alongside a user score of an 8.2. It was pretty favorable amongst the people, soon leading into a sequel being released on January 8th, 2017 for the PS4. Since I played this one back to back, I'll give you a quick rundown about the backstories of our characters and then move on towards the second title's gameplay. We follow in the footsteps of a girl named Kat. She doesn't remember anything, as she's entirely lost her memory. Besides her lays a cat in which she now names Dusty, who has the ability to manipulate gravity. Our second protagonist, Raven, who originally within the second game was thought to be a villain, also has gravity powers. The two of them are dubbed as gravity shifters. As the name gives it away, gravity shifters are people who have the ability to manipulate gravity. You'll be able to recognize one with the presence of an animal-shaped creature known as a guardian. The two girls are exact contrasts of each other, which I really liked. Raven is very indifferent and cold, while Kat is terribly down to earth and upbeat. Its world is also pretty expansive. You'll see that not a single building or structure is on the ground, as most, if not all, areas within the game are floating in air. With the game itself, I thought that the gameplay was pretty interesting. All the battles and enemies were always different, especially with how combat works in the game. You get two different styles of gravity shifting, something different from the first game. One makes you lighter and agile, while the other makes you more heavier and destructive. You can upgrade Kat and her powers, put her in cute little costumes, and the music. I don't even want to get started on the music, but it's generally just so lovely. I'd love to explain the story to you as well, but to be quite honest, I can't rack my brain to do so. I even searched up a summary and I couldn't get a single definite answer. I went on Wikipedia itself and I swear its summary is wrong because there's some things that I definitely don't remember happening in the second game. Or maybe I'm tripping, you never know. Back to the point at hand, I want to talk about its shakiness a little bit. It was originally going to be released back in December 2nd of 2016, but Square Enix wanted to give its next love child some room to breathe. I can make an entire video about the entirety of 15, from its concept, years-long development, and very odd story choices, but that's something for another day. Gravity Rush 2 was revealed back at the Tokyo Game Show convention in 2015. But other than that, I believe that the second game didn't get much advertisement minus a commercial and some concept art if I'm correct, especially outside of Japan. It sold 147,000 copies within its first week. A sequel to a PS Vita game that almost nobody remembered or knew about. Sure, the first game had a remaster on the PlayStation 4 as well, but man, Gravity Rush already didn't have a really good start as a franchise itself. With zero promotion and a studio closure, there really isn't anything giving Sony the green light in order to sign off for a third game. For me, this one kind of hits me hard because I think Gravity Rush is a series that generally has a lot to offer. I played this game years ago and had so much fun with it, as I think there's obvious love and care poured into this game. To this day, I still think about how fun it was flying places and just throwing random crap. Even if I went back to replay it right now, I still think Gravity Rush would hold up, at least in my heart that is. I really wanted to save the best for last, as I think I'll have more than enough words for this wonderful series. My first ever game on the PlayStation 3 was Little Big Planet 2, especially at my age at the time. Honestly, I could have been shitting bricks playing a Resident Evil game or Silent Hill. Little Big Planet first released on October 27th of 2008 to the PlayStation 3, followed by a PSP 4 in the following year and even a kart spin-off racing game. The game sold a whopping 4.5 million copies and was developed by a game studio called Media Molecule. To say that it was a hit would definitely be an understatement, even winning Game of the Year for DICE. It was creative and silly, something that managed to resonate with everybody. For the first game, story-wise, your job is to stop the collector who's kidnapping people. All the games kind of follow the same format, minus the third game when it comes to the story, but its gameplay is where its true strengths show. You play as Sackboy, in which you could fully customize entirely yourself. A big thing within Little Big Planet was its customization. I cannot tell you how much of my father's money I spent on DLC costumes just so I could look cooler. You could also attach stickers and a bunch of other stuff onto your costume and save it to your Poppet. You also had your own little pod, like your little home, that you could also customize and decorate. Literally anything you wanted to create or make in Little Big Planet was possible. Players were able to create a wide variety of levels ranging from racing, role-playing games, platforming, and more. The amount of things you could pull off in the game, especially in its sequel, was nothing short of impressive. Where things started to go downhill, however, was with the third game. Little Big Planet 3 released on November 18th of 2014. However, instead of Media Molecule developing it like they had done for the previous two games, it was now under a studio called Sumo Digital. The former company was busy with new projects, and they didn't want to just keep shooting threes for Little Big Planet.
LeBron for three.
However, the third game's launch was not pretty at all. It was a rushed project with too many wrinkles that needed to be ironed out. This spanned from corrupt save data, Poppet items vanishing, your Sackboy being stuck at the top of your pod, and way more. You want to know how many sales the third game had? Just barely breaking 2 million. A lot of people attribute its bad launch to Sony wanting to put out something in time for Black Friday, and I'm pretty sure it was Sumo's first time dealing with such a large game like this. Aside from its poor launch date, a lot of people thought that the game just lacked the charm the previous ones had. However, just as things could possibly get better, they can also get worse. In March of 2021, Sony was caught in the middle of a large-scale attack on their servers. Keep in mind, this was 2021, years after the game's launch, and at this point, they had stopped updating minus probably some random DLC costumes. After going back and forth with the constant attacks, the developers deemed that it would be best to completely shut down their servers as they were unrecoverable. This went for every single game in its entirety. All levels, creations, everything would just be gone. It really breaks my heart to see how Little Big Planet went out, and you'd think with how well this series was received, they'd be talking about another game. It doesn't look like Sackboy has a bright future within game production whatsoever, and it kills me. I can't explain to you how much joy this game brought me as a kid.
Sony la le ajuderà tua